I should have known something was wrong when Sasha insisted on inviting my best friend Eli to our honeymoon planning sessions. But hey, I'm just a mid-level advertising manager who thought he'd won the lottery marrying the hottest PR executive in downtown Chicago. What did I know about red flags? Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. Ryan, you're being paranoid. Sasha would purr whenever I questioned why Eli needed to approve our wedding venue, our guest list, even our damn cake flavor. He's your best friend. I want him to feel included. Included. Right. Like a tick feels included on a dog. The wedding was perfect, of course. Sasha looked stunning in her designer dress. I looked decent in my rental tux. And Eli gave the most heartfelt best man speech about true love conquering all. The irony would have killed me if I'd known then what I know now. 3 months into married life, things started getting weird. Sasha would disappear for work meetings that ran until midnight. Her phone was suddenly password protected. She'd laugh at texts while we watched Netflix, then quickly hide the screen when I glanced over. Just the girls being silly, she'd say, but her smile never reached her eyes anymore. The real kicker? She started dressing up for grocery runs and casual coffee dates, but walked around our house in sweatpants and yesterday's makeup. When your wife looks better for strangers than for you, that's not a good sign. I tried talking to Eli about it. We'd been friends since college, roommates for 2 years, best men at each other's weddings. Well, he'd be best man at mine. His wedding was still in the future, with some mysterious girlfriend he never brought around. Maybe she's just adjusting to married life, Eli suggested over beers at Murphy's Tavern. You know how women are about change. He seemed nervous, kept checking his phone. When it buzzed with a text, his whole face lit up before he caught himself and shoved it back in his pocket. New client? I asked. Something like that. That night, Sasha came home at 1 a.m. smelling like expensive cologne. Not mine. Late meeting ran over, she explained, heading straight for the shower. You know how it is. I didn't know how it was. My late meetings involved stale coffee and arguing about banner ad placement, not whatever left you glowing and smelling like a man's cologne. The breaking point came on a Tuesday. Sasha's best friend Nina showed up at our door looking like she'd been crying. Nina was everything Sasha wasn't. Honest, straightforward, and apparently harboring a secret that was eating her alive. Ryan, we need to talk, she said, glancing around nervously. Is Sasha here? Work meeting, I replied automatically. Nina's laugh was bitter. Right. Work meeting. With Eli. The words hit me like a freight train. What? She's been screwing your best friend since before your wedding. I have proof. I've been keeping quiet because she's my friend, but I can't watch this anymore. You deserve to know. She pulled out her phone and showed me photos that made my stomach drop. Sasha and Eli at a restaurant I'd never been to. Sasha and Eli holding hands in his car. Sasha and Eli kissing outside a hotel downtown. How long have you known? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. 6 months. She told me she married you because you were stable and gave her access to Eli's social circle. She said once she had him locked down, she'd divorce you and take half your stuff. Nina sat down on my couch, tears streaming down her face. I'm so sorry, Ryan. I should have told you sooner. But she's been my best friend since high school, and I hoped she'd come to her senses. I stared at the photos, my entire world reshaping itself around this new reality. Every late night, every mysterious smile, every time she'd defended Eli or insisted he join our plans, it all made horrible sense now. There's more, Nina continued. She's been telling people you're boring in bed and that she settled for you. Her work friends all know about Eli. They think it's hilarious that you have no idea. The humiliation burned worse than the betrayal. I'd been the joke, the clueless husband while my wife and best friend played house behind my back. "What do you want me to do with this information?" I asked. Nina looked at me with something that might have been admiration. "Whatever you want. But Ryan, if you're planning to get even, I want to help." That's when I noticed how Nina was looking at me, not with pity, but with something else. Something that had probably been there for years while I was too focused on Sasha to notice. "Why?" I asked. "Because you deserved better than her from the beginning, and because—" She hesitated, then leaned closer. "Because I've been waiting for you to notice me for 8 years. Before I could respond, we heard Sasha's key in the lock. Nina quickly wiped her eyes, and I shoved her phone back at her. "Think about what I said," Nina whispered as Sasha walked in, glowing and satisfied, smelling like Eli's cologne. "Nina, what a surprise," Sasha said, but her eyes were calculating. "What brings you by?" "Just checking on you newlyweds," Nina replied smoothly. "Making sure married life is treating you well." Sasha's smile was sharp. "Oh, it's been very fulfilling." After Nina left, Sasha was unusually affectionate, kissing my neck and suggesting we reconnect in the bedroom. But all I could think about were those photos and how she was probably imagining Eli the entire time. The next morning, I made a decision. If Sasha wanted to play games, I'd show her how it's done. But first, I needed to know exactly what I was dealing with. I called in sick to work and followed her. Watching your wife cheat on you is like watching a car accident in slow motion. You know it's going to be horrible, but you can't look away. Sasha's morning meeting was at the Marriott downtown. She met Eli in the lobby, and they didn't even try to hide their affection. He spun her around, she laughed like a teenager, and they disappeared into the elevator together. I sat in my car for 2 hours, taking pictures, documenting everything. When they came back down, Sasha's hair was messed up, and Eli had lipstick on his collar, my wife's lipstick. That evening, Nina texted me. "How are you holding up?" Instead of responding, I called her. "Can you meet me somewhere? We need to talk." We met at a coffee shop across town, somewhere Sasha would never go. Nina looked nervous but determined, wearing a blue dress that made her eyes pop. I'd never really noticed how pretty she was. "I've been thinking about what you said," I began, "about helping me get even. And I want to destroy them both, completely, but I need to be smart about it." Nina smiled, and for the first time in months I felt like someone was actually on my side. "Tell me what you need." "First, I need more evidence. Photos, texts, anything that proves this has been going on. Second, I need to know exactly how long this has been happening and who else knows about it." "I can help with both," Nina said. "Sasha tells me everything when she's drunk, and I mean everything." Over the next hour, Nina laid out the full scope of my wife's betrayal. It wasn't just an affair, it was a calculated plan. Sasha had targeted me specifically because I was Eli's best friend, and she wanted access to his world. She'd researched my job, my income, even my hobbies before accidentally bumping into me at that bar 2 years ago. She practiced conversations about advertising with me, Nina revealed. She wanted to seem interested in your work so you'd fall for her faster. The manipulation was breathtaking. Every shared interest, every moment I'd thought we'd connected, every reason I'd fallen in love with her, all of it was fake. "What about Eli?" I asked. He was hesitant at first. He actually felt guilty about betraying you. But Sasha convinced him that you'd never find out, and that she was going to leave you anyway. "When?" "After your first anniversary. She wanted to make sure she could claim half your assets and get alimony." I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Joke's on her. I don't have any assets worth taking. "That's not the point," Nina said softly. "She used you. They both did. And they're laughing about it." She reached across the table and took my hand. Her skin was warm, soft, completely different from Sasha's always cold fingers. "So what's the plan?" she asked. I'm going to give them exactly what they deserve. Public humiliation, social destruction, and a front row seat to watching their perfect little affair blow up in their faces. Nina's eyes sparkled. I'm in. But Ryan? Yeah? When this is all over, when you've gotten your revenge and moved on, would you maybe want to get dinner? Just the two of us? I looked at her, really looked at her, for the first time. Nina was beautiful, but more than that, she was real. No games, no manipulation, just honest attraction and genuine concern for my well-being. How about we start now? I suggested. Partners in crime should know each other better. We stayed at that coffee shop until it closed, planning my revenge and getting to know each other without Sasha's shadow between us. Nina was funny, smart, and had apparently been harboring feelings for me since the day we met. Why didn't you ever say anything? I asked. Because you were happy, or I thought you were, and Sasha was my friend. She paused, but watching her treat you like garbage while she played around with Eli, I couldn't stay quiet anymore. The plan we developed was simple, but devastating. Phase 1, gather irrefutable evidence. Phase 2, let them get comfortable and sloppy. Phase 3, destroy their reputations systematically and publicly. I want them to lose everything, I told Nina as we walked to our cars. Friends, jobs, social standing, everything. They will, she promised. But are you prepared for how ugly this might get? Sasha doesn't lose gracefully. Let her bring it. I'm done being the nice guy who gets walked all over. Nina stood on her tiptoes and kissed my cheek. Good. The nice guy was cute, but the guy who fights back, he's irresistible. I drove home with a plan, an ally, and for the first time in months, a reason to smile. Sasha was waiting up for me, which was unusual. Where were you? She asked. I called your office and they said you were sick. Felt better later. Went for a drive to clear my head. She studied my face suspiciously. You seem different. Do I? I kissed her forehead, tasting the lie on my lips. Must be the fresh air. That night, as Sasha slept beside me, probably dreaming about Eli, I stared at the ceiling and planned her downfall. She wanted to play games? Fine. But she was about to learn that I'd been letting her win. The next morning, I started phase 1. I called in another sick day and spent it becoming a private investigator. Turns out when your wife is cheating with your best friend, they're not exactly careful about covering their tracks. Eli's tech startup had a public Instagram account that posted team photos from company events. Guess who appeared in the background of 3 different posts over the past 2 months? Sasha, who had never mentioned attending any events with Eli's company. I screenshotted everything and started building a timeline. Nina was right. They'd been sloppy because they thought I was too stupid to notice. My phone buzzed with a text from Nina. Coffee shop 2 p.m. I have intel. When I arrived, Nina was already there with a manila folder and a grim expression. Sasha got drunk at girls' night last week, she said without preamble. She told everyone about Eli, not just that she's sleeping with him, but that she's planning to divorce you and marry him. Everyone? Jenna, Lacey, even some girls from her work. They were all laughing about how clueless you are. Nina's voice was tight with anger. Jenna said she felt bad for you, and Sasha said you'd be fine because nice guys always land on their feet. The casual cruelty of it hit me like a physical blow. These women had been in my house, eaten my food, smiled to my face, all while knowing my wife was making a fool of me. There's more, Nina continued. Eli's been telling people at his company that he's dating someone new, someone amazing, who's going to leave her husband soon. His business partner thinks it's romantic. Romantic, I repeated flatly. Yeah, star-crossed lovers and all that bullshit. Nina slid the folder across to me. I printed out screenshots of everything I could find, social media posts, comments, even some texts Sasha showed the girls. I opened the folder and immediately wished I hadn't. There were photos of Sasha and Eli at restaurants, parks, even what looked like a weekend getaway. In one photo, Sasha was wearing a necklace I'd never seen before. In another, Eli had his hand on her ass while she laughed. But the worst part was reading the texts Sasha had shared with her friends, making fun of me. Ryan actually asked if I wanted to go to that new Italian place. I told him I was too tired. Meanwhile, Eli and I went there last week and the pasta was amazing. He bought me flowers yesterday, so sweet and clueless. I felt almost bad throwing them away, but Eli's bringing me orchids tonight. R wants to plan a vacation for our anniversary. I told him we should wait until next year. By then, I'll be planning vacations with someone who actually knows how to have fun. Each message was a knife twist, but they were also evidence. Beautiful, damning evidence that would destroy her when the time was right. "I'm sorry," Nina said softly. "I know this is hard to see." "Don't be sorry. This is exactly what I needed." I closed the folder and looked at her. "Are you ready for phase 2? "What's phase 2? "We're going to let them think they're winning. I'm going to be the perfect oblivious husband while you help me document everything. And then, when they're at their most comfortable and arrogant, we're going to burn their world down." Nina's smile was wicked. "I love it. But what about us? If we're going to be spending more time together, Sasha's going to notice. Let her notice. In fact, let's make sure she does." That evening, I put on an Oscar-worthy performance. When Sasha came home late again, I was waiting with takeout from her favorite Thai place and a bottle of wine. "What's all this?" she asked suspiciously. "I've been thinking about what you said, about me not being spontaneous enough. I thought we could have a romantic dinner and talk about our future." The guilt that flashed across her face was almost satisfying. Almost. We ate dinner while I played the loving husband, asking about her day and sharing funny stories from work. Sasha relaxed as the wine flowed, probably relieved that I wasn't asking difficult questions. "I love you," I told her as we cleaned up, meaning it in the past tense. "I love you too," she replied, and I wondered if she even remembered what love felt like anymore. The next day, I implemented the next part of my plan. I invited Eli over for the game, just like old times. When he arrived, he seemed nervous, but I was all smiles and beer. "Good to see you, man," I said, clapping him on the back. "Feels like we haven't hung out in forever." "Yeah, work's been crazy," he muttered, avoiding eye contact. "I know the feeling. Sasha's been working late constantly. Sometimes I barely see her." Eli nearly choked on his beer. "Really?" "Yeah, but I'm trying to be understanding. Marriage is about supporting each other's careers, right?" The cognitive dissonance was beautiful to watch. Eli wanted to feel guilty, but he also wanted to believe his own justifications. I was making it easy for him to choose the latter. When Sasha came home during the second quarter, the tension in the room was thick enough to cut. She kissed my cheek, but her eyes were on Eli. "Hey, Eli," she said casually. "How's the startup life treating you?" "Can't complain," he replied, and they shared a look that they thought was subtle. I excused myself to get more beer and texted Nina from the kitchen. "They're both here. Come over in 20 minutes. Time for phase 2. Nina arrived with perfect timing, just as the game was getting intense. She was wearing a tight red dress and heels, looking absolutely stunning. "Sorry to interrupt boys' night," she said, giving me a hug that lasted just a beat too long. "I was in the neighborhood and thought I'd say hi." I felt Sasha's eyes boring into us from across the room. "Nina?" Sasha's voice was artificially bright. "What brings you to this part of town?" "Actually, I was hoping to talk to Ryan about something," Nina said, sitting down next to me on the couch. "I'm thinking about redoing my marketing materials for my photography business, and everyone says Ryan's the best ad guy in the city." It was a perfect excuse for us to spend time together, and Sasha couldn't object without seeming petty. "Of course," I said. "I'd be happy to help. We could meet for coffee this week and go over your current materials." "That would be amazing," Nina said, placing her hand on my arm. "I really appreciate it." The look on Sasha's face was priceless. She was trapped. She couldn't be jealous without revealing her own guilt, but she clearly didn't like seeing another woman touch her husband. Eli, meanwhile, was staring at Nina like he'd never seen her before, which was ironic since he'd met her dozens of times at parties and dinners over the years. "Nina, you look different," he said. "Did you do something with your hair?" "Just started taking better care of myself," she replied with a smile. "Amazing what happens when you decide you deserve better than what you've been settling for." The double meaning wasn't lost on anyone in the room. We all watched the rest of the game, but the real entertainment was the undercurrent of tension and jealousy. Sasha kept trying to get Eli's attention while watching me and Nina out of the corner of her eye. Eli was clearly torn between guilt and desire, stealing glances at both women. When Nina left, she hugged me goodbye and whispered, "Phase 2 is officially in motion." After Eli left, Sasha was quiet while we cleaned up. "Nina seemed friendly tonight," she finally said. "She's always been friendly. You've known her for years." "I know, but never mind." "What?" "Nothing. It's just, you two seem to have a lot to talk about." I looked at my wife, really looked at her, and saw something I'd never seen before. Insecurity. For the first time since this whole affair started, Sasha was worried about losing something. Too bad for her, she'd already lost everything. She just didn't know it yet. The coffee meetings with Nina became a regular thing. We'd sit in different cafes around the city, ostensibly working on her marketing materials, but really planning the systematic destruction of my wife's life. "Sasha's getting paranoid," Nina reported during our third business meeting. "She keeps asking me about you, about our meetings, about whether I think you're acting different." "What do you tell her?" "That you seem happier lately, more confident. It's driving her crazy." It was true, I did feel more confident. Having someone genuinely care about me, someone who was on my side, had awakened something I'd forgotten existed. I wasn't just the boring husband anymore. I was a man with a plan, and apparently that was attractive. "She asked me point blank if I was interested in you," Nina continued. "What did you say?" "I said you were married to my best friend, so that would be inappropriate." Nina's smile was mischievous. "But I may have mentioned that if you were single, you'd be exactly my type." The psychological warfare was working. Sasha was starting to see me as something other than the safe, boring option she'd married for convenience. The problem was, she wanted to keep me as her backup plan while she played house with Eli. Too bad I was done being anyone's backup plan. "It's time for phase 3, I told Nina. "Are you ready to get your hands dirty?" "I've been ready since day 1. Phase 3 required careful timing and perfect execution. I started with Sasha's work friends, the ones who'd been laughing about her affair behind my back. I accidentally ran into Jenna at the grocery store near her apartment. Jenna was the weakest link in Sasha's circle. She felt guilty about keeping the secret and had always been nice to me. "Ryan, hi." She seemed nervous, probably wondering if I knew about her complicity in my humiliation. "Hey, Jenna. Good to see you." I was all smiles and casual conversation. "How's work treating you?" "Oh, same old PR drama. Speaking of which, how's Sasha handling the Morrison account? She seemed really stressed about it last week." There was no Morrison account. Sasha worked in event planning, not client management. Jenna was fishing, trying to figure out what lies Sasha had told me to cover her absences. "She's been working so hard lately," I said carefully. "All those late meetings and weekend obligations. I barely see her anymore." Jenna's face went white. She knew exactly what those late meetings really were. "I'm sure it'll calm down soon," she said weakly. "I hope so. Marriage is about supporting each other through the tough times, right? Even when your partner is exploring new opportunities." The double meaning hit home. Jenna mumbled something about being late for an appointment and practically ran away. Within hours, my phone buzzed with a text from Nina. Jenna called Sasha in a panic. She thinks you know something. Perfect. That evening, Sasha came home early for the first time in weeks. She was clearly rattled, trying too hard to be the perfect wife. "How was your day?" she asked, kissing me with more enthusiasm than she'd shown in months. "Interesting." I ran into Jenna at the store. She seemed nervous about something. Sasha went very still. "Nervous? About what?" "I don't know. She mentioned you were stressed about some account, but then seemed confused when I asked about it." I kept my voice light and curious. "Is there something going on at work I should know about?" "No, nothing. Jenna's she gets mixed up sometimes." I let the silence stretch, watching Sasha squirm. "Well, I'm sure it's nothing important." But Sasha couldn't let it go. Over dinner, she kept bringing up work, spinning elaborate stories about projects and deadlines that I knew were fabrications. She was overcompensating, trying to build a believable cover story after months of lazy lies. The next day, I escalated. I created a fake Instagram account and started following all of Eli's business associates, Sasha's co-workers, and their mutual friends. Then I began liking and commenting on old photos, specifically photos that showed Sasha and Eli together at events where I wasn't present. "Great party," I commented on a photo from 2 months ago that showed them dancing together at some company event. "Sasha looks so happy here," I wrote on another photo where she was laughing at something Eli was saying. The comments looked innocent enough, but they established a timeline and made it clear that I was paying attention. More importantly, they made other people pay attention too. Nina reported that Sasha's work friends were starting to ask questions. If Ryan was commenting on these photos, did that mean he knew about the affair? Was he okay with it? Was their marriage some kind of open arrangement? The speculation was delicious. But the real masterstroke came when I decided to throw a party. "I want to celebrate our marriage," I announced to Sasha over breakfast. "It's been too long since we had everyone over. Let's invite all our friends for a barbecue this weekend." Sasha looked like I'd suggested we sacrifice a goat in the backyard. "A party? This weekend? Don't you think that's kind of short notice?" "The best parties are spontaneous. Besides, I miss seeing everyone together. It'll be fun." I started making calls before she could object. Eli, Nina, all of Sasha's work friends, my colleagues, even some neighbors. Everyone who knew about the affair, everyone who'd been laughing behind my back, everyone who thought I was too stupid to see what was happening right in front of me. "This is going to be interesting," Nina said when I called her. "That's one word for it." The party was set for Saturday afternoon. Sasha spent the week in a state of barely controlled panic, trying to figure out how to manage the situation. How do you host a party with your husband when your boyfriend and all your co-conspirators will be there? Friday night, she made one last desperate attempt to cancel. "I'm not feeling well," she said, holding her hand to her forehead dramatically. "Maybe we should postpone." "Nonsense," I replied cheerfully. "Fresh air and good friends are exactly what you need. Besides, everyone's already planning to come. It would be rude to cancel now." Saturday arrived with perfect weather and a guest list full of people who were about to get the show of their lives. The party started innocently enough. People arrived, I played the perfect host, and Sasha tried to act normal while keeping Eli at arm's length. But the tension was obvious to anyone paying attention, and I made sure everyone was paying attention. "Eli," I called out loudly when he arrived. "There's the man of the hour. Come here, I want to tell everyone about your new girlfriend." Eli went pale. "My what?" "The mystery woman you've been dating. You've been so secretive about her, but you seem really happy lately. Come on, spill the details." The entire party turned to listen. Sasha looked like she might faint. "It's not really serious yet," Eli stammered. "Not serious? That's not what you told me last week. You said she was amazing, that she was going to change everything for you." "I was making half of this up. but Eli couldn't deny it without looking suspicious. "Who is she?" asked one of Eli's business partners. "Anyone we know?" The question hung in the air like a bomb waiting to explode. Eli looked at Sasha. Sasha looked at me, and I looked like the innocent husband who just wanted his best friend to be happy. "Actually," Nina said, appearing at my side with perfect timing, "I think some relationships are worth keeping private until you're sure they're going somewhere. Don't you think, Sasha?" All eyes turned to my wife, who was trapped between agreeing with Nina and defending her secret relationship. Yes, privacy is important," she managed. "Absolutely," I agreed, although sometimes secrets have a way of coming out whether you want them to or not. The party continued, but the mood had shifted. People were watching, whispering, speculating. Sasha and Eli couldn't get near each other without drawing attention, and the strain was showing. The final blow came when I stood up to make a toast. "I want to thank everyone for coming," I said, raising my beer. "It means so much to have all our friends here, especially during times of change and transition." I looked directly at Sasha and Eli as I said the last word. Here's to friendship, loyalty, and the truth always coming to light eventually. Everyone drank, but the toast felt more like a threat. Because that's exactly what it was. As the party wound down and people started leaving, I could see the damage was done. Sasha's work friends were whispering among themselves, shooting glances at her and Eli. His business associates looked confused and suspicious. Even the neighbors seemed to sense something was off. "Great party," Nina whispered as she hugged me goodbye. "I think Phase 3 was a complete success." After everyone left, Sasha and I cleaned up in silence. Finally, she couldn't take it anymore. "What was that about?" she demanded. "What was what about?" "The toast. The comments about Eli's girlfriend. The whole weird energy tonight." I looked at my wife with innocent confusion. "I have no idea what you mean. I thought it was a great party. Everyone seemed to have fun." But we both knew the truth. The game had changed, and for the first time since this whole mess started, I was winning. The week after the party, everything started unraveling for Sasha and Eli. The whispers and speculation had done their job. People were paying attention now, and what they saw wasn't pretty. Eli's business partner cornered him at work, demanding to know if he was having an affair with a married woman. Someone had put the pieces together from the party and started asking uncomfortable questions about his mysterious girlfriend and my pointed comments. Meanwhile, Sasha's boss pulled her aside after someone from the party mentioned seeing her getting cozy with a man who wasn't her husband at various events around town. In the PR world, image is everything, and adultery scandals don't play well with clients. "They're both panicking," Nina reported during our daily coffee briefing. "Sasha called me crying last night, saying she thinks someone's trying to sabotage her marriage." "Someone is," I replied. "How's she handling the pressure?" "Not well. She's convinced you're suspicious but can't figure out how much you actually know, and Eli's getting cold feet about the whole thing. This was the opening I'd been waiting for. When people panic, they make mistakes, and I was about to give them plenty of opportunities to make very big mistakes. I started with Eli. I texted him asking to meet for drinks, just the two of us. Like old times. He couldn't refuse without seeming suspicious. We met at Murphy's Tavern, our old hangout from college. Eli was a nervous wreck, barely touching his beer while I acted completely normal. "You seem tense lately," I observed. "Everything okay?" "Yeah, just work stress. You know how it is." "I do. Although I have to say, you seem happier overall, more energetic. That new girlfriend must be good for you." Eli nearly choked on his drink. "I told you, it's not that serious." "Come on, man. We've been friends for 15 years. I can tell when you're in love." I leaned forward conspiratorially. "Is it someone I know?" The question hung between us like a loaded gun. Eli's face went through about 6 different expressions before settling on panic. "Why would you ask that?" Just curious. You've been so secretive about her, and usually you tell me everything. Plus, you seemed really uncomfortable at the party when I brought it up. I wasn't uncomfortable. Eli. I put my hand on his shoulder like the concerned friend I used to be. Whatever's going on, you can tell me. I'm on your side. For a moment, I thought he might actually confess. The guilt was eating him alive, and the pressure of keeping the secret was clearly taking its toll. But then his phone buzzed with what was obviously a text from Sasha, and his face hardened. "There's nothing to tell," he said firmly. "Can we just drop it?" "Of course. But Eli, if you ever need to talk about anything, and I mean anything, I'm here for you." I left him at the bar, probably texting Sasha about our conversation and trying to figure out if I was suspicious or just being a good friend. The next day, I turned my attention to Sasha. She came home from work looking frazzled and immediately poured herself a large glass of wine. "Rough day?" I asked. "You could say that." She drank half the glass in one gulp. "My boss is being weird, asking all these questions about my personal life and whether everything's okay at home." "That's strange. Why would he care about your personal life?" "I don't know. Someone told him they saw me at some event with a man who wasn't you, and now he's worried about the company's image or something." I made appropriate sympathetic noises while internally celebrating. The pressure was working exactly as planned. "What did you tell him?" "The truth, that I sometimes attend work functions with male colleagues, and whoever saw me was probably misinterpreting an innocent professional interaction." "That makes sense. Although—" I paused, pretending to think. "You have been working late a lot lately, and going to a lot of events I haven't heard about. Maybe I should start coming with you more often, just to avoid any confusion." The look of horror on Sasha's face was priceless. "That's not necessary. Most of these things are really boring. I don't mind. I want to be supportive of your career. Besides, it might be fun to get dressed up and go out together more often." She couldn't argue without seeming suspicious, but the idea of me tagging along to her fake work events was clearly her worst nightmare. "Let me check my schedule," she said weakly. That weekend, I implemented the next phase of my plan. I suggested we have dinner with Nina, just the three of us, to catch up properly. "Why Nina?" Sasha asked suspiciously. "She's your best friend, and I feel like I barely know her despite all these years. Plus, she's been helping me with that marketing project, so we've been talking more lately." The mention of our frequent meetings made Sasha's eye twitch. "What kind of marketing project?" "For her photography business. She's really talented, actually. I had no idea she was so creative and intelligent." I was laying it on thick, but not thick enough to seem fake. Just enough to plant seeds of doubt and jealousy. Dinner was a masterpiece of psychological warfare. I spent the evening being charming and attentive to Nina while treating Sasha with polite indifference. Not enough to seem rude, just enough to show a clear preference. Nina played her part perfectly, laughing at my jokes, asking thoughtful questions about my work, and generally acting like a woman who was genuinely interested in getting to know me better. "You're so funny, Ryan," she said at one point. "I never realized how witty you are." "He's always been funny," Sasha said tightly. "Really? He seems different lately. More confident, I don't know, more attractive somehow." The comment hung in the air like a challenge. Sasha couldn't respond without seeming jealous, but her knuckles were white where she gripped her wine glass. "I think marriage suits him," Nina continued innocently. "Although I have to say, Sasha, you're so lucky to have found someone so loyal and devoted. Not many men would be so understanding about their wife's busy work schedule and late nights." It was a perfect double-edged sword. On the surface, Nina was complimenting our marriage. Underneath, she was highlighting exactly the behavior that would look suspicious to anyone paying attention. "I am lucky," Sasha said through gritted teeth. "Absolutely. I mean, some men might get jealous or suspicious if their wife was working late all the time and going to events without them. But Ryan's so secure and trusting. I smiled modestly. I believe in giving people the freedom to be themselves. If you truly love someone, you want them to be happy, even if that means exploring new opportunities. The phrase, exploring new opportunities, hit Sasha like a slap. It was too close to the truth, too pointed to be accidental. But she couldn't call me out without revealing why it bothered her. By the end of dinner, Sasha was barely speaking, and Nina was practically glowing with satisfaction. "We should do this more often," Nina said as we paid the check. "I feel like we're all getting to know each other so much better." That night, Sasha confronted me directly for the first time. "What's going on with you and Nina?" "What do you mean?" "You know what I mean. All the meetings, the way you were looking at her tonight, the way she was flirting with you." I looked at my wife with genuine confusion. "Nina wasn't flirting with me, she was just being friendly." "Friendly? Ryan, she was practically throwing herself at you." "Even if she was, which she wasn't, what would it matter? I'm married to you. I would never betray our vows." The word betray hit home. Sasha flinched like I'd struck her. I don't want people getting the wrong idea." "What wrong idea? That I'm an attractive, interesting man who other women might find appealing?" I smiled. "I have to say, Sasha, I never thought I'd see you jealous. It's actually kind of flattering. I'm not jealous, I'm just protective of our marriage." "Our marriage," I repeated thoughtfully. "Right. Well, you don't have anything to worry about. I take my commitments very seriously." The emphasis on commitments was subtle but unmistakable. Sasha heard it loud and clear. She tried to initiate sex that night, probably trying to reassert her claim on me, but I gently declined. "I'm tired," I said. "Rain check?" It was the first time I'd ever turned her down, and the rejection stung. I could see it in her eyes. For the first time since we'd been married, she was seeing me as something other than the sure thing she could take for granted. The next morning, she left early for another work meeting, but this time I was ready. I followed her to Eli's apartment building and took photos of her going inside. Then I waited. 2 hours later, they emerged together, and I got the money shot. Sasha and Eli kissing passionately in the parking garage, completely unaware they were being watched. That afternoon, I uploaded the photos to a cloud storage account and sent Nina the link. "Phase 4 begins now," I texted her. It was time to end this charade once and for all. The photos of Sasha and Eli kissing in the parking garage were perfect, clear, undeniable, and absolutely devastating. But I wasn't going to just confront them privately. That would be too easy, too clean. They'd humiliated me publicly, made me the clueless husband that everyone pitied behind my back. Their downfall needed to be equally public. I spent the weekend planning the perfect reveal. It had to be somewhere with maximum impact, maximum witnesses, and maximum humiliation for both of them. The opportunity came when Nina mentioned that Eli's company was hosting a networking event at the downtown Marriott, the same hotel where I'd watched them disappear together months ago. It was perfect poetic justice. "Can you get me into that event?" I asked Nina. "Probably. I know the event planner. But what are you planning?" "Something they'll never forget." The networking event was Thursday evening. I spent the week making final preparations, gathering all my evidence, and setting up what would be the most satisfying moment of my life. I also made sure Sasha would be there. On Tuesday, I casually mentioned that Eli had invited us to his company event. "He what?" Sasha looked panicked. "Yeah, he said it would be good for your career to meet some of his business contacts. Apparently, there are several PR firms attending that might have opportunities." Sasha was trapped. Refusing the event would look suspicious, but attending with me while Eli was there terrified her. "I'm not sure I'm free Thursday," she said weakly. "I checked your calendar. You're clear." "But, come on, it'll be fun. We never go out. Plus, I want to support Eli's business. He's such a good friend." The word friend made her flinch. Thursday night, Sasha spent hours getting ready, settling on a conservative black dress to avoid attention. "You look beautiful," I said. She was, and terrified. At the hotel ballroom, Chicago's elite schmoozed over drinks. I spotted Eli, confident in his suit, until he saw us. His face paled. "There's Eli," I said loudly, waving. "Let's say hi." Sasha hesitated. "He's working. We shouldn't interrupt." "Nonsense. We're here for him." I led her through the crowd, greeting people, drawing attention. By the time we reached Eli, we had an entourage. "Ryan! Sasha!" Eli's smile was strained. "Didn't expect you." "Wouldn't miss it," I said. "I was just saying what a great friend you are, always helping us out." The double meaning hit hard. "Speaking of friendship," I pulled out my phone. "I've got photos from our get-togethers. Sasha and I are so grateful for your support." Sasha grabbed my arm. "Ryan, not now." "Oh, it's perfect," I said, swiping to innocent photos, parties, dinners, building tension. "But my favorites are recent. They show the depth of your friendship." I swiped to parking garage photos of them together. Gasps erupted. Whispers spread. Someone said, "Oh my God!" Sasha tried to grab my phone. I held it away. "These were last Sunday at Eli's apartment," I announced. "They capture their relationship, don't you think?" Eli looked sick. "Ryan, let me explain." "Explain what?" "You've been sleeping with my wife for months, laughing behind my back, thinking I'm clueless." Phones clicked, recording the scene. Sasha pleaded, "It's not what it looks like." "Really? It looks like my wife and best friend betrayed me." I faced the crowd. "Meet Chicago's charming couple, my wife Sasha and my best friend Eli. They've been screwing behind my back while pretending to care." Eli stepped forward. "This isn't the place." "It's exactly the place. It started here, at this hotel. I followed you, saw you sneak into a room together." I showed more evidence. Hotel timestamps, receipts, social media screenshots. Months of lies, fake meetings, laughing at my expense. Sasha sobbed. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean..." "Didn't mean it? You targeted me to get to Eli. Our marriage was a lie." I turned to Eli. 15 years of friendship. You were my best man, promising to support us while planning to destroy it." "I didn't want to hurt you," Eli muttered. "But you did. Was it worth it?" Security approached. "Problem here?" "None," I said. "Just introducing my wife and her boyfriend. We're leaving." To Sasha and Eli, I said, "Enjoy your relationship. Everyone in Chicago will know who you are now." I walked out, leaving them humiliated amid hundreds of witnesses. Nina waited in the lobby. "How do you feel?" she asked. "Free." My phone buzzed with viral videos and voicemails, friends, family, reporters. I didn't care. I'd exposed the truth. "What now?" Nina asked as we drove. "We start over." Nina, who'd helped uncover the truth, smiled. "I've waited for this version of you, the one who fights back." 6 months later, Nina and I were engaged. Sasha, jobless, moved in with her parents. Eli's startup collapsed. He left Chicago. I got promoted, bought a bigger house, and learned revenge isn't just getting even, it's winning completely.